Ahsoka episode 6, titled Part 6, Far, Far Away. Yes, they found a way, to make a meta reference, a meta line. They found a way to do the whole, from far, far, a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. They found a way to make that actual dialogue. And I was like, oh, you sneaky bugger, you. That's essentially when I heard that line. But this episode, the weird thing about it is, at the beginning I was like, oh, this feels like might be a little bit too inside baseball for the average goer, the whole time with rebels and not knowing who these people are, and, they're referencing names and referencing things and all that kind of stuff. But, and then episode 2 comes along, okay, it's slightly better, that, and then 3, each episode kind of got better and better and better. And this episode it's not as great as last week's episode. The last week's episode was really well put together, a way to have action telling character. That's basically what, the whole flashbacks with, the Clone Wars and seeing Anakin and all that kind of stuff. But enough information for the average goer to understand what's going on. Because naturally, the average goer hasn't seen Rebels, they haven't seen Clone Wars, so they don't understand the nuance and the friendship. But it gives people enough information what's going on and understand it's simple. Ahsoka's Anakin's Padawan. It was quite simple to explain their friendship and relationship and all that kind of stuff. But with this episode, that is very Ahsoka-like. We have one scene with Ahsoka in this episode, and essentially so they can do the whole, in a galaxy far, far away as a actual line. But it's an episode that it's all about, okay, maybe we only got 2 episodes left. It's all about building up to maybe a big giant finale, maybe hinting towards this Mandalorian movie, let's call that. My guess it's going to be called Into the Empire, my guess. And so let's get all the pieces. Let's get all the ducks in a row. What is left? It is, well, this whole show is all about finding Thrawn. Where's Thrawn? Well, let's get introduced to Thrawn. Where's Ezra? Well, the search of Ezra Bridger. Where is he? Well, let's meet Ezra Bridger. Which I will say this, probably for Ezra, when Ezra showed up, I was a little bit like, I'm like, okay, this is my first time getting introduced to this character, right? And so far, I'm like, I was like, I guess, he's your bestie, but I'm like, so you want to save him, but I understand why. I feel like he's going to be the weak link character, but he could be one of those situations where hey, it's one scene, first impressions, when he's in the other episodes, it's going to go well. It's just going to go well and da-da-dee-da. It's all going to be good. But Thrawn? Here's the thing about Thrawn, right? So if you don't know who Thrawn is, Thrawn was a character who showed up in the Heir to the Empire trilogy. The Thrawn trilogy, as they say. Which was books that came out in the 90s that kind of treated... There was a thing called the Expanded Universe, which was all the medias, the TV shows, the Ewoks TV movies and all that. The comics and novels and the video games were all part of the standard canon, but essentially means stuff that lived beyond the original trilogy, right? The Knights of the Old Republic is a popular one as well. So, but the big one was Thrawn, the Thrawn trilogy. Which kind of acted for a long while as episode 789 before there was actually episode 789. So, but then what happened was when Disney bought Lucasfilm, they treated the Expanded Universe as legends, aka they're not canon anymore. Which pissed off a few people, of course, a small bunch of people saying, that's not, there was no way in the Thrawn book, they are not following the canon. Meanwhile, everyone has to remind you, Chewie got killed by a moon. So, in the Expanded Universe. Just want to put it out there. Anyway, but what will happen is that the new movies and the new novels and all the new comics out that are connected to this brand new, let's call it Disney Star Wars, the new canon, could pick elements, could take elements from the legend stuff. And in Rebels, was it season 3? They make Thrawn a bad guy. They make Thrawn part of the actual, into the proper Star Wars universe, you may say. And people got really excited. Like, here's the thing, for the average goer, like, wow, you know, people have been talking about Thrawn, how great he's a villain, how brilliant he is, and, you know, they take him on the Mount Rushmore, a great Star Wars villain. You know, Vader's there, and the Emperor's there, and yeah, probably Darth Maul's probably there, you know, Clone Wars and Rebels, to understand why, because if you're only seeing episode 1, you're like, really? Yeah, is he dead? Like, he got chopped in half. The joke's on you. I mean, he's dead in you know, in post original trilogy, if it makes sense. And there's Thrawn. And naturally, you're thinking, well, yeah, you better prove to me why this guy's so great. And I'm watching the episode, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I understand why he's so great. Why you put this character on a pedestal. Because there's a sense of menace. Like, he just talks very calmly. He speaks very calmly. But you know there's something ticking in his head, and it's all these calculated things going on. And, like, even if, like, at the end where he's talking about how much he feels he's calm, like, he's scared of Ahsoka. Guess I have to watch Rebels to find out why, but he's scared of Ahsoka. There's still menace and fierce, and just, like, him just being quote-unquote friendly and calm. You just go, yep. Like, every time he's on screen, I'm just, like, glued to him. I mean, this shows, I mean, the villains, I mean, you know, when you have, oh god, I'm stapling the character's name, Ray Singer's character, when he talks about what the Jedi Order was, and what he thought it was, and how much there was a joke, and how, like, you know, let's say his Padawan says, you know, do you miss it? He's like, oh, I miss the idea of it, not what it actually was. And he's talking about the Jedi Temple and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, there's a lot of people who speculate, like, it's the kid who says, like, Master Skywalker, there's too many out there, what am I gonna do? And then, yeah. Which, you know, that could actually work. You know, thinking, like, hey, we have kind of met this character before, we just never knew about it. Is it safe to say that this show is more interesting? It's interesting because its villains are interesting? Yeah. It's probably, like, the big complaints that people have with the Michael Keaton Batman films, which is, like, Batman seems the least interesting character in his own movie, but the villains, though, they're the show, they're the star of the show, and you're just so, you go, like, yeah, pretty much, and they're still good. Like, you have a neat little action sequence with, you know, Zavine doing this, but this is not an action-heavy episode. It's pretty much, you have these cute little crab creatures that are quite adorable. I would say this about Thrawn. Is it me, or did they CGI him blue versus makeup blue? Because I was like, normally we have seen what blue Star Wars looks like. I'm like, that's a little bit odd. I feel like they CGI him. But it could be the sense, like, look, we're gonna put these, like, little arches things on your forehead, Matt Nicholson. So we'll just CGI you blue. But which actually, fun fact, he's actually the guy who voices him in Web. So it's sometimes I know there's still some people a little bit pissed that, like, you know, Stellan Dawson doesn't even sound like, you know, the animated counterpart, but I'm like, who cares? I'm like, look, I get some people are a fan of Roger Moore's James Bond, and some people are a fan of Sean Connery as the character. Yeah, I'm calling the animated counterpart the Roger Moore. Yeah, I'm calling it. Because I won't lie, like, if someone said, like, which version you prefer, I would kind of prefer the Stellan Dawson version of Ahsoka. Just saying, don't kill me, don't do any of that. But yeah, this is basically just setting up for the last 2 episodes, because you can speculate it's going to be just this big giant finale. And And I won't lie, I had a kick out of it. I quite do. Yeah, comment below what you think of Far Far Away. Not the galaxy Far Far Away, the episode Far Far Away. The part 6, this episode.